broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everybody, welcome to our webinar today. We will talk about the draw to canvas today and about the possibilities how to do it. I have prepared something for you in the Pandoras box, so we will go through this and you can ask whatever you want in the chat field and we will try to answer it via text or we will just answer it in the webinar. Mike, my colleague, will help me to answer your questions. So, hi, Mike.
Hi, everyone. Hope you are good.
Cool. So let's begin with our webinar overview content. So at the beginning, we will talk about how to draw to a canvas from a widget designer within the widget designer, and it should show in Pandoras box. The next option we will talk about it is how to draw to a canvas from the Pandoras box client. And at the end, we will talk a little bit about tools and devices to rewire your creativity, and so you know what is possible to do if you have any devices or you want to have some interactivity with this tool. Okay, let's explain the setup today. I have the manager on my laptop and it's connected to a compact player. We will have today only one output, so it's only connected to one projector, and we will also use this client, so we will draw on the compact player output today, and I will explain you how to do it. We will need a Pandoras box license and a widget designer license. What we have to do is to first start just as usual to connect the Pandoras box, the widget designer to Pandoras box, and we have to enable the connections in the network configuration tab of the widget designer. And this is because within the manager, we will need a widget designer device. So you can add a widget designer device from the devices types under widget designer, and then just with drag and drop into the devices tab. We can also connect the widget designer device here in Inspector by entering the correct IP address there and just click on the connected or disconnect connected button. So actually it's always disconnected. So if you enter the IP addresses, you can just click on connect and it will be connected. So the red mark will be not there anymore. Okay. So why do we need a widget designer device? Because we want to send the mouse, or we can also send the touch data, touch input events from an attached client to the widget designer. So that's why we need this widget designer device in our manager or in our Pandoras box project. You can also have a standalone project, so you can also use the standalone project in full screen and add also your touch data to or just send them through the widget designer device to the widget designer. So that's also possible. You don't have to have a manager client license or setup. Sorry. Okay, let's begin first with a simple setup. So I will only use one canvas. It's just here. It has the folder and file ID 1. And it's the resolution is matched to the output resolution. It's 1280 by 800 pixel. So this is my client output. And before we start, I have to explain you something because I have prepared already. So you see two panels in my camera, and I just warped them. So let's go to output number 1 in the preview and show you how I have done this. So they're just warped with two simple surfaces, and they are both on the output. So they are already saved on the timeline. And I just also remapped or done the UV mapping. When I use the geometry picture, you can see just go back to layer mode and go into UV mapping mode. So the texture is already mapped. That's because, so I think it's better to see it here without the geometry picture. Sorry. So there are two different surfaces and they are already remapped for both panels. So I just moved whatever I have here, the colors and the shapes you can see here, to the right side, and the canvas is on a little bit on the left side. So please, if you do not want, if you do have such setups like this, you can also have a look into our UV mapping webinar. It's on our YouTube channel. Okay, so when I go back to our all cameras view, you can see I have two cameras, but I am using only one output, and one of these cameras is a little bit bigger. So let's go to the camera inspector and have a look there. I just changed the resolution to 1600. The height is the same. This is because I have a bigger texture, so I wanted to have the full texture on one camera because I have only one output. So this is why I had to UV map the textures, because they had to match on both panels. So that's a setup. Let's go to the widget designer and have a look there. Under nodes interaction, you will find 4 nodes where you can use the draw to canvas. The first one is the layer UV draw to canvas. This is what we will talk about today in detail. And the second one is just mouse draw cycles to canvas. It will just draw cycles. And the third one is mouse draw to canvas. So I have used this one, and just want to show you the properties. Here you can add the folder ID and file ID of your canvas which is in Pandoras Box. There you can also set a size for your brush, and here you can set your color. 255, 255, 255 is just white, and the alpha. If you want to have a transparent color, then you can also set this one. This node is actually for when you are drawing on your you can also draw it on your output, but it is actually where your widget designer is already open. So you just enter the width and height of your widget designer in full screen, the resolution of your widget designer, and then your target coordinates. So if the output is smaller, the output of your client is smaller, then you just enter the correct output resolution. This is because it has to be matched. So if they are both on one resolution, you can use the 1:1 option. So this will be then gray. But as it's not the case here in my setup, so I had to remap it. Let's draw with this. So for using this command or using the node, I have to go to the second canvas, this one, which has the folder and file ID 1 and 1. And now you see I can enable this node by entering the correct folder and file ID there. I have already created a button for it, for disable and enable this node. Here you can see the node 32, which has this number, small number here, is the node number. So we can use the commands to give a node a fixed parameter, or set the parameters in the node, or disable them or enable them, and so on. I have used this command for setting the parameter number 1, which is the folder ID. Yeah, you can see the node is already enabled. For folder ID, you will see a very small ID on the right side of the field. So this is actually the parameter number. So this is what you can use in the command to set a value within this folder ID. So when I just click on, let's close this one, click on disable, I have set the value for my folder ID to 0. So this is why it's turned to 0 there. You can also use this command for colors and for alpha channel, for all of these wide height parameters. Everything you can use in this node can be set also via a command if you use the correct parameter ID. Okay, so let's enable this one again. Now you can see I can simply draw here in my manager system, where the widget designer is already located, and it's already matching to my map because it's already mapped in Pandoras Box, and it has the correct, the canvas has the correct resolution. And also the position it's moved, so that's why it's matching. That's a simple trick to draw from the widget designer to the canvas in Pandoras Box. Is there any questions, Mike? Mike?
No, there are no questions so far.
Okay. So let's clear this canvas. We can clear it in the widget designer, or we can clear it also in Pandoras Box, but if we want to make it easy, we can use the resource canvas clear by ID, the command, and the canvas has a folder and file ID 1 and 1, so it's just a folder and file ID of the canvas. So I just click it and disable this node. So let's go to my page number, page number 1. I want to show you here, I have prepared something for you, how to use the layer UV draw to canvas node. For layer UV draw to canvas, we have also the same parameters for color and alpha channel and folder and file ID, and also the size of your brush. You can give a filter IP, filter by source IP. So this one is the manager IP address. And I have entered the site number 2. This is my client, and where the canvas is located. It's on device ID number 1. So it's on site number 2, layer 1. So that's actually the wrong device ID. Sorry for that. And I can also give the filter to it. So should be filtered by site or set site device. So only the layer. If it's the layer it's already touched, we can just filter by site and device, or just any. If you have only one site and one canvas, then you can use any. I just enter the site here. The canvas for this UV node is the canvas number 4, which has the folder and file ID 1 by 3, and it's actually this one, which is placed on layer number 2. So if you have a look in Inspector, it has also the resolution of my output. So I just enter the resolution of my output. It's very important because the mouse has to be matched to the canvas. So the output mouse of my client should match to the canvas size. And I can also set a brush, but we will go through this, and also the interval. First of all, I just wanted to show you how to change the color via a color picker. So that's the easiest way to do it. If you create a color picker in the widget designer and use an action script node to filter the color picker selected color, and then, so if I make it a little bit bigger, and then give the commands to the RGB parameter of the node. So this is node number 1. This is what I can see here. I want to set the parameter 4, which is the red one. And you can actually create a variable, an integer variable for red, and then green and blue. But you can also use the color picker, one selected color, R for red. So it will just give you the value of the selected color in the color picker. So, and when I move it, you can see the action node is working. So it will get a blue border. So let's have a look. Just choose this color. Sorry, go back to layer UV, and you can see the values are changed here. So that's a very easy way to change the color and pick the color you want for drawing. So let's clear this canvas, what I have drawn. And I just clear also the brush. Oops. So you can see there is a brush already here. Actually, this one is needs to have the path of the project. So if we go back to the Pandoras box, I have under brushes folder the brush which is called cherry.png. So this is how we have to write down the path in this folder. You can actually copy paste a path, so just write the folder and the subfolder if you have one, and then a backslash, and then the name of your brush, which is located in the project tree. You can also set it via a command. So let's go back to, let's clear this one. So I go back again. So this is also done by this command, node 1 set parameter 14. So this is number 14. And just no text there. There is no space, nothing. So this is why it's then clear. This is how you can clear it. And I have used here a picture box. So for a brush called heart. So if I click one time on this picture box, you will see it will just give me the brushes, the brush heart, which is also located in the brushes folder in Pandoras box. So let's draw a little bit. I just clear this one, choose a color, red. And now I go to the client. I have just connected the mouse to my compact player, and I want to draw there. So actually you can also use a touch screen. So if you have a touch screen, it will be also like the same. You can use this touch screen to draw with your touch screen, but I don't have one. here, so I just use my mouse to draw something there. Actually, I can now also influence the brush size, which is done by a fader here. I just take the fader number 1, the value of the fader number 1, and give it to the script output node. For the parameter number 3, which is for the size, and the fader value, fader 1 value. And this is how I can set the brush size, so I can make it bigger. Actually, you can also give the minimum and maximum value here in the fader properties. For me, the maximum value is 300. Okay. Now you can see I can draw here with a picked color from the color picker, and draw on my canvas on the client to the canvas. Okay. I can also control the alpha channel of my node with this fader, so it's the exact same workflow. Using the fader input and give it to the script output node, using the same command for the parameter number 7, which is the alpha canal. So let's try it with this one, so it's a little bit brighter. This is actually the setup between Widget Designer and so working in combination, working between Widget Designer and Pandoras Box client. So to draw on the client side, but changing settings in the Widget Designer. Let's try this brush, the heart. I just clear this one and clear the canvas, set the heart again, because I want to show you a setting here. The interval of the heart of the brush, this is actually only for the brush, is on 100. So this is actually the time of the next drawed brush. So when I change it to 10 or 5, you can see a better difference. So it is just creating a lot of hearts next to each other by the movement. If I enter 100, and I just draw a line, you can see the time here is the time doesn't matter. It is just getting lesser hearts in the time we are drawing. So it's just a distance between the brushes, drawed brushes. Okay, let's make it a little bit smaller. Maybe we can see it better there. This is now 100. And this is for 10. Any questions so far? Actually, you can also control the interval by a fader or by a text input. So you can control all of these values which has a ID via another widget like a text input or a fader. Mike, do we have any questions to this?
Yeah, there's a question. Is there a way, or how can we?
Mike? Mike? Hello? Mike? I'm sorry for this. We have to wait for Mike. I don't know what happened. Mike?
Sorry. Yeah, my audio was gone.
Okay.
Did
Come
you
back.
got the question or?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah, is there, or how can we erase the last drawn image? Is there a way to clear just the last drawn step?
No. We have to clear the whole canvas. That's what I know. I don't know if there is something new, but
Yeah, I think that's correct. So currently,
yeah.
there's no way to reset the last drawn step. There's another question. I will just read it. How can I have the projected surface also on the canvas that people can draw?
I'm not sure what is meant by this question.
Yeah, I'm also not sure about that. How can I have? Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure what exactly you want to know. And yeah, sure, we can put that on the wish list of the resetting last one step.
Yeah.
All right, I think that.
Yes, the intervals are working in milliseconds. So I think that was also a question. Okay.
And can you show how to change the color of the heart?
No, because you can't. The brush is actually a picture in Pandoras Box, so we cannot change the color of the picture by using the commands in the widget designer. Actually, for the node, what I mean is by using this RGB channels. What we can do is to add a RGB effect on the layer where the brush is located. So then you can create another color picker or another button to control the RGB of the Rgb effect in Pandoras Box. Is it clear? I think
Yes,
it's a little bit,
that's
yeah.
Yeah, with RGB color effects, you could build something to change color of the brush images, but not directly with the parameters in a node.
That's right. Of course, you can also take the same color picker for it, because what you can do is if you go to the color picker properties, you can add another RGB effect, which is located on Pandoras Box device, so you can enter also the devices here. But I don't know if it's what you wanted. So if you want to have the same color for your drawing lines and the brushes. So it's actually a setting or setup question. Any other questions?
No, that's it so far. So I think you can go on.
Cool. Okay. Actually, we are done with this page and all these settings. But you can also see on my camera, I have already prepared another smaller panel for few colors and some brushes. I want to show you how to do it by clicking on the client output and choosing these colors or brushes via your output. So when you're clicking or touching the output. For this, we will need this layer UV draw to canvas. That's what we definitely will need. And when you have set up this and everything is connected to Pandoras Box and you have added the widget designer device and everything is connected, then you can add some more nodes to this setup. So for this, we will go to page number 2. I have prepared 2 different types of this kind of settings. Oh, first of all, go back to this and clear my brush and canvas. Maybe I just copy them to the second output, second page, sorry. Okay, let's show you on the client. When I click on the blue color picture, I can draw blue here. Actually, you can also change again the size with the faders and the transparency. When I click on green, I can draw green or red. And this one is pink. And then the last one is yellow or orange. Let's have a look how we can choose these layers. First of all, I have to show you the Pandoras Box settings or the timeline programming. So you can see all these colors, blue, green, red, pink, and yellow on my timeline. They're just small pictures from stock assets, colors. I have took them from RAL thumbnail, so there are some few pictures here, and they are in my project tree. So actually, I have some more, but I just used a few of them, for example. And I have located this pictures, the small picture. I have scaled them up a little bit because they are very small. And I just move the position to this side. That's it. That's all what I have done in Pandoras Box. What I do in widget is I just, when I click on the client, on this layer, the blue layer, I think this is the first one. I have used for the colors layer mouse input or Pandoras Box mouse input layer, and I have already set a layer ID, so site and device ID to filter only this this kind of layer, this specific layer. Let's have a look again into number device ID 22 is the blue one, and let's have a look here under my device. You can see if I go through this layer, you can see the positions, and if I do a left click, you can see the one is clicked. I can actually do it for the middle click or right click, or if I have the mouse wheel, I can also use the mouse wheel holding it. It's up to you how you want to filter or set this. But I have used the left click and set it in the if node of the script output. So when the left click is 1, it should set the color blue. Actually, this is only the RGB parameters for the layer UV node. So let's go back to this properties. So you can see I have clicked on the blue one and it's already set for me the RGB colors from my command in the script output. And this is why it's taking blue, and I can draw with the blue on my canvas. And I have done this for all of my color devices or all of my color layers. I have just filtered the next one. This is a 23. This is the green one, and you can see it's also filtered by the left click and the RGB commands again. That's all the same, but I have only changed the filter, the site and device ID filter for the layer. For this kind of input node, I have to click to set something to have a change in the script output node. So I have to do a right click to set a color. What I want to show you is a difference between the PB mouse input and the PB interaction input. For the PB interaction input, I don't have to click. Actually, there is another option to also, actually I can click, I can do a left button click, but I have set it in the script output node, the device. So if 6 device, so actually it's output value for the node. Number 6 is the device, so you can change it to whatever you want here. But I have chosen for device. If it's on 19, so which is the cherry, then it should take the cherry. So the brush cherry. I don't have to click. So if I go through to this layer, just going through this layer, go back to my canvas, I can draw the cherries. I don't have to click anymore. So you have to be careful if you want to have the cherry, but you go to the flower or to the POW print. It will take the last brush you were on it with the mouse. So that's the difference. Where you can use the mouse and click and choose the layers in Pandoras Box to set the brush or set a color or whatever you want to create a nice design on your projection or on your touchscreen, to choose colors and brushes, yeah, and to draw with this. Let's clear all of these. Actually, it was only now an example with the mouse. Of course, you can. Or before I explain this, do we have any questions, Mike, regarding?
No, you can go on.
Okay. We can use some devices for making our setup a little bit interactive, like using an air scan. And if you have set up everything there and everything is matched, and we have created our active region and so on, it's matching to the canvas in Pandoras Box, then you can enable mouse and using the mouse draw to canvas to draw to the canvas via the widget designer. And you can also click enable click and create some picture boxes like what I had here on page number 1 with some brushes or colors. So you can click on some brushes and colors to choose them and to draw with the air scan. There is also another option to use under devices, ID tag tracker. If you have the cameras and you have already set up your 3D or 2D camera settings or tracking settings, and you have already listed your ID tag tracker, so all the ID tag trackers you want to use, then you will get the X and Y position of an ID tag tracker. And this is what you can use for to give it to the mouse, so that if you have already connected the ID tag trackers and configured them, Then you can go to the output node and then let's go to devices, mouse. And enable the position, XY position, or left button down, or left button up, or left button click for the mouse to click something or to just draw on your widget designer. I just wanted to show you some examples. Actually, if you're working with transparency, or if you have some something like this, like background floor, and then you want to draw and mask the position of the drive of the car. Watch it. Then you can use just a canvas on top of your floor, and using the transparent data or alpha canal to just draw with the mouse or with the ID tag tracker on top of the car. Yeah, and draw on your floor. So that's all possible ways to bring some interactivity to your setups. Actually, you can also draw on 3D objects. If you want to draw on the 3D objects, you have to know that if you have a texture or a content for a video for your 3D object, like a house or a car, then you have to use the 3D object also on the canvas. So because the canvas has to have this shape of the 3D object, and then you can draw on it, or yeah, if you have to use or you have to change the UV mapping, then you can do it also in Pandoras Box. But actually, it should match also the 3D object, so it should be a little bit bigger than the real 3D object in Pandoras Box. So it should actually look over the 3D object, so then you can draw on it. I think that's it. If we do not have any questions, then we are done for today.
Yeah, can you open the script of the hard picture box you have?
Yes. So we are setting the parameter 14 for brushes, and I have just entered the path, the project path of the hard PNG into the node. And you can do it actually with every single picture you have. That's all. Oh, what I forgot to explain is if you're using a brush, you can't draw anymore with the colors. That's what I have, I think, explained. But another thing is if you have if you change this compositing mode, so to change it to source copy, even if the hard has a transparent background, so I don't see the black edges, the black rectangle edges, it will be seen here by source copy. So let's go back to source over. I just draw something here so you can see the difference. Now if I choose the part, and I change the source copy, compositing, and I go through. You can see the edges of my picture. So the transparency will be gone by this setting. If you don't need it, you can change it, or you just let it on the default value source over. Any more questions?
Okay. Yes, another question is, if I have a touch input monitor, then do I have to show the same image of my client image on the monitor? So do I have to clone the image?
That actually it's depending on your setup. If you have a standalone project and you have a touch screen and you have a projection or whatever, and you want to use the touch screen to draw on the projection, then you will need the same pictures also in the touch screen. But you don't have to program it twice, because if you are using a license with 2 outputs, then it will be possible, because you can also use one setting with 2, by filming 2 cameras. If you do not have a standalone and you want to use the touch screen, then you can create the widget designer and the programming on the touch screen, so it will be possible to choose the brushes or the colors on the widget designer, and then just use these drawings via the widget designer and sending it from the widget designer to the client. Actually that's both way possible.
Yeah, and if you think about a scenario where you have a touchscreen monitor and a projection on a surface, so you would want to have the image you can see here, very screen. This image you would want to have on your touchscreen monitor, right? And on your projection, you normally don't want to have the color option and the brush images. So you could work with the cameras within your Pandoras Box manager or with the layer routing, and just disable the routing to the camera on your projection.
That's right. Yeah.
Does widget designer needs to be visible all time to the client, so only the output from Pandoras Box should be visible on touchscreen?
Actually, it's also depending on the setup. Do you want to change something in the widget designer? If you want to click something in the widget designer, then you can hide the widget designer in the background of your client, which is in full screen, and then go to if you want to click something, it should have the same position. Like if you want to click a button in the widget designer, and you want to click it by clicking it on a layer in the client, they should be in the same position, so and the same location and the same size, of course. That's what you have to be careful for it. And you can use the option here under settings, the mouse capture option, to click the button. So it can be in the background.
Correct. yeah, I think that's it so far.
Cool. Thank you for watching. And Mike, thank you for helping me answering the questions.
My
I
pleasure.
hope it was clear enough to do creative projects with Rgb Canvas via Pandoras Box and Widget Designer. Yeah, thank you for listening. And we will see each other in the next webinars. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.